Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at the Airfix D-Day set from 2004. This was brought out to mark the 60th anniversary of D-Day, or Operation Overlord, in 1944, June 6th, of course. This is labelled as 172, yet of course most of the bits and pieces in there will actually be in 176. The set comes with four sets of figures, two German and two Allied. So you get German infantry, you get German paratroopers, you get American infantry and American paratroopers. You also get a coastal defense fort, a Messerschmitt 109G. You get a truck, an Allied truck, an Allied Jeep. You get an 88mm anti-tank gun or anti-aircraft gun and a tractor for that. You get an M4 Sherman, an LCVP and an LCM Mark III and a DUKW or Duck, as we would call it. And that's a fine set of figures to come in one box, as they say. We picked this up on eBay for the young lad for Christmas, actually. It's second hand, obviously. It was used, and he just happened to spot it one evening we were browsing, and he asked, could he get it for Christmas? I said, yeah, no bother. And we picked it up for a steal, as they say. So looking at the artwork there, you can see on the left-hand side, there is it's actually US Marines. If you look at his breast pocket there, he has the US Marine Corps crest and USMC partially visible there. He has his M1 helmet, some sort of a mortar or rocket, and some sort of a tubular weapon on his shoulder. Looks more like he's from the Vietnam era, to be honest, or possibly the Pacific rather than the European theatre of operations, but there you go. There's also a landing craft coming in there. I think that's the LCVP. On the right, you have the Jeep, which seems to be already on the beach. It's kind of a odd montage. The coastal defense fort is there, of course, firing the two large guns. How accurate as regards historically these coastal forts and bits and pieces were, I'm not quite sure. To be fair, they're kind of more toys than accurate pieces, but still gets the message across and quite nice. And of course, there's some figures there. It looks like what's the Type 1 Airfix British Commandos trying to storm the fort there, even though you don't get British Commandos in the box. And there's some German infantry, the classic officer pose up there in the top right hand corner, shooting off to the right. Strangely enough, he decided to leave the safe confines of the fort and use a pistol, and his compatriot is armed with a rifle. So I don't know what they're up to, but yeah, not the most safest position. So that's it. Also came with 13 paints, which are probably well dried out by now, to do the job. So we will be using home brother enamels, and that's basically it. So most of the videos for the next little while will be taken from this particular set. I've already done the DUKW or Duck, so we'll move on. We won't do that one, but we will crack on with the other bits and pieces. But let's have a look at the contents of the box as regards instructions and all that kind of stuff first. Actually, before we delve into the instructions, we might have a quick look at the back there, which just kind of basically gives you kind of a historical blurb in several different languages and some period photographs. It looks actually quite nice. I believe this was released, it's made in France, so I believe this would be released during the time that Heller were involved with Airfix. So the kind of design is a little bit different to what we've been used to previously with Airfix. I think the graphics now are a bit different. But again, you can see it's silhouetted there, the various bits and pieces and stuff at the end of the box there, what's contained within the boxes themselves. The box themselves at each end is just a replication of the cover art, so that's really nothing more to see there. Internally, basically, it's just kits in bags or not in boxes or anything like that. Now, there may have been some sort of separation, kind of molded plastic or cardboard or something like that when this was brand new back in 2004. But as I say, this was a purchase off eBay, and either that wasn't there in the first place or it's long gone. But all the bits and pieces are there. We've checked it, and it's perfect. So quite happy with that. Comes with sort of a weird semi-newspaper pamphlet sort of a thing, which I don't know, is it supposed to represent something that may or may not have been handed out back in 1944. It's kind of given that sort of aesthetic. Just basically as a brief overview of the Normandy landings, June 6, 44, picture of Eisenhower there and some American soldiers heading in on presumably Omaha or one of those. And it's a nice little piece, but not particularly necessary in the box itself, but I suppose it's nice to have these little things at the same time. As you can see there, that's the instruction booklet. All the instructions for everything are contained within this booklet. Top left hand corner, of course, it says Heller there, as you can see, code Overlord, and the number 52604. does contain the instructions, as I say, for all the various bits and pieces, and it gives on the left hand side there hints and tips, and of course the paint numbers used. These are all Humbrol paint numbers, either enamel or acrylics. Acrylics in this case, because that's what came with the box itself, but I will be using enamels. There's no point looking at the entirety of the instructions here, because as we go through each model, we'll have a look at the instructions as they go. At the back of the rather comprehensive instruction manual, there is yet another blur regarding the history of D-Day, and that was quite a good read there. It's in several languages, so you get one, what's this, A4 sized roughly page, quite small text, so there's quite a decent word count. So that's ideal. The young lad's been reading that. I mean, at this stage he's 11 in a couple of months, so it's age appropriate, and in fairness, it's historically accurate and informative. So top marks there in fairness to Heller/Airfix at the time. I actually remember this being in the store back in 2004, and I looked at it and I thought, yeah, one of the days I'll pick up that, but I never thought that it'd be 20 years or thereabouts later, and I'd be, or the bones of 20 years later, and I'd be picking up for my son. But there you go, that's the way life rolls. So we'll crack on, and we'll have a quick look at the decal sheet before we end this video. I have to say the decals are in very good condition. They look really, really sharp. I have over the years, of course, made many Airfix kits and that, so I'd be quite familiar with the decals of several of these pieces here. I will say that these are some of the better presented. In fairness, I've done some of the duck there is a top right hand corner. You might have seen my video on that. There was one really good set and one rather poor, and so on and so forth. Just to note that at the bottom left there is the Sherman. That's for a Sherman in French markings, which you might have seen in one of my videos previously. But when we get around to doing the Sherman, we will show you that in various markings as well. Top left there is the Jeep and trailer. The American truck is in the middle, and the landing craft and the Sherman, another Sherman option, British option, is next to that, and then the duck on the far right. As I say, French Sherman bottom left. Messerschmitt 109 in the middle, and landing craft again there in the right hand side. That's the LCVP. So that's it, guys. We're going to crack on and get one or two of these models started and painted and prepped and all the rest of it, and we'll be back to you as fast as we can, I suppose, with our first model.